you talked a bit about going through the stage, regardless if you're cycling or not, to know if you're there or not.
Mhm.
And, whether someone has had surgery, a hysterectomy, or maybe their cycle, they just haven't had a cycle in years.
Mhm.
How do they know that they're in stage one? And let's go through stage one versus all the different stages
Yeah.
of perimenopause. What are the other signs besides the cycle?
The classic guideline definition of stage one is that your cycle is changed by 7 days or more. And again, I think we need to update these definitions, but this is where we're at. So if you don't have a cycle, maybe you have an IUD, maybe you have the Mirena or a progestin IUD, not the copper, but the progestin IUD often causes women's cycle to go away. That's one of the side effects of it. So maybe you have an IUD, maybe you've had a hysterectomy. What we take into account are your age, but we can also do a blood test called FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, and we can see what level it's at. If your FSH is still in the single digits, let's say you go get a blood test on Friday and it's 4. Okay, you are still having good communication between the follicle in your ovaries and your brain, which is great. If you're cycling if you would have had all your pieces and parts or didn't have an IUD, you'd probably be cycling regularly. Now, as that number gets up into the double digits, all of a sudden you're at 12, then you're at 15, then you hit 20. Once you get up into the 20-25 range, that's when we start to think, oop, you are definitely either later stage perimenopause or postmenopause. Definitely by the time you hit 40 on that blood test, everyone considers you postmenopausal. Like the ovaries, the follicles, the release of the egg, like that is absolutely just not happening anymore. Now, let's pretend you're listening to this thinking, all right, well, I would love to get a blood test, but I don't know that I can get into my doctor's right away or how I could get that. Are there any symptoms? The most common early symptoms of perimenopause are fatigue, mood changes, and sleep issues. Now, we've heard there are over 100 perimenopausal symptoms out there. Everything from hot flashes and night sweats, like we mentioned earlier, to the insomnia, to the vaginal symptoms, to the musculoskeletal symptoms, to the weird symptoms like itchy ears out of nowhere, or phantom smells, or increased headaches. I mean, women can really unfortunately go through the gamut. Like I said, these changes in hormones affect all systems in the body, not just a uterus or the ovaries. But those are the 3 kind of early symptoms I see over and over and over, and women tend to tell me, I'm way more tired, I'm having way more mood changes, whether it's angry, irritated, more depressed, more anxious, or some combination. And sleep. Carrie, I used to be a great sleeper, and now I can't fall asleep or I can't stay asleep. All of a sudden, I wake up at 3 a.m. like clockwork. I wake up at 4 a.m. like clockwork. What is going on? So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, holy Moses, that's me, you are likely, for sure, depending on your age, perimenopausal.
Well, you just said you're not sleeping, you're tired, maybe headaches. Okay, the normal woman would say, I can't sleep, I don't know why. And of course I'm tired because I'm not sleeping, and I
Right.
have headaches because I'm not sleeping. So they will just blame it on the sleep factor and not look at all of them together as, oh, well, maybe something bigger is going on here, right?
Yes, this is
Um,
why in love them or hate them, some of these online quizzes or online checklists for symptoms can be so helpful because it takes you back, it magnifies out as opposed to in, right? Now you can see the whole forest, not just one tree. So you can do a perimenopausal symptom checklist. And if you find your check, check, and all the things, then it's perimenopause. At least that's contributing to these, as opposed to, oh, that's what happens at that age. That's what happens when you have 3 kids. That's what happens when you're running a business. Yes, and it's also what happens when your hormones start changing because you're reversing out of puberty.